Hey, this is Scott, and today I'm here with the Hohem iSteady mobile smartphone gimbal. So at this point, I've done quite a lot of smartphone gimbal testing, and I'm going to try and keep this one fast-paced, short and sweet, just highlighting the information that I think would be relevant to know. So, here it goes. The build quality feels mediocre. It's largely plastic, as are most of the others, and there is a bit of rubber on the grip, which is nice, but it's nothing amazing in either a good or a bad way. The buttons feel a little bit cheap, and sometimes they're not super responsive. Also, you need to double tap to start recording, and sometimes it only registers one of those taps and takes a photo instead. This isn't the most intuitive way to do it, and it can't be done by touching the button on the screen either. The slider for zoom and focus seems to work okay, but I don't see any way to adjust the speed, unfortunately. I like that the 4 modes are listed on the handle so you don't have to remember them, but there's no home or recenter option. That's a major bummer. The motors themselves do feel incredibly weak, even with the strength settings on high. This particular point reminds me a bit of the Gimbal Gimbal 2, and doesn't mean you're not going to get good footage, it just means you're going to have to be a bit more careful. On that note, it's really sensitive to awkward angles and things like the jerk pan movement that I've talked about before. You'll definitely need to learn the limits in terms of what angles you can hold it at, and be very aware of that while using it. It also seems to get kind of off horizon when panning it quickly or holding it at certain fairly common angles, even in full lock mode. I don't mean that it's off calibration wise, it just gets thrown off while using it and then returns to normal. This kind of builds on the issue with the awkward angles that I mentioned, but full follow mode is also really not as smooth as I've seen on some other gimbals. The tracking works pretty good. It has face detect with some different options like watching for 2 people and then taking a photo once it detects them. It's a bit confusing how to turn off the automatic photo taking mode though. I think they could rework this to make it a bit easier to use. The actual tracking does seem to work well though, both in object and face tracking. Overall, what's in the app does seem to work. There are some nice settings like deadpan adjustments, for example, that could help to get smooth or controlled motion, and despite the large number of things that you can adjust in this app, there's some very basic things missing, like different frame rates, for example. Time-lapse doesn't have a lot of controllable settings, but motion lapse works pretty well, and with moderately detailed settings that you can adjust. They do also have a track lapse option, which is fairly unique. This app saves the photos and videos straight to your camera album, which saves time afterwards, and it connects easily enough. It hasn't crashed on me either. You can also connect this gimbal by Bluetooth straight to your phone to use it to some degree together with other apps like Facebook or your phone's native camera. There's a battery life meter on the side which actually works even without completely turning on the gimbal, which is cool. The LEDs do bleed into one another a bit though, so it can be a bit unclear when you're looking at it, but it is nice to have this. There are ports for power in and power out on the side, and this is the first time that I've seen the power out that doesn't look like it's meant to charge your phone during use. They advertise it as a power bank, which does still mean that you can charge your phone with it, but it's not meant to be used while filming. The battery itself has around a 12-hour life, which is fairly generous. You can rotate the clip vertically here, of course, clicking into position at a few different angles for some unique possibilities. There's also a screw mount on the clip if you want to attach something here. However, I don't really see this being overly useful since most accessories will be too awkward or heavy and throw off the balance too much. It has 360-degree pan rotation, but it's a little strange that it's not actually continuous. It will stop at 640 degrees. This will be more than enough for pretty much any use though, so don't worry about it. The case is small and nice enough, but again, it's nothing special or stand out compared to the others, except for the Zhiyun Smooth 4, which doesn't come with a case. So, being completely honest, I feel very similar to this as I did with the Gimbal 2. It has some nice points for sure. The tracking works well, there's a clear reminder of how the modes work on the handle, and you can check battery life even without turning on the gimbal. I think one of the biggest pros of this gimbal is the price. It's only $75 at the moment, and when that's considered, I might have to say that it's worth the money. If you want to spend more, there are better choices for not a whole lot more, but if you're looking to get into the smartphone gimbals at the lowest possible price, this is it. And you won't be making an unreasonable amount of sacrifices for that price either. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. If you liked this video or found it helpful, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to see more in the future, and as always, thank you for watching.